So about a year ago, I made a shitty video talking about some of the problems I have with SCP-SL. Now since then, a lot has changed, and updates have come out. So I think it's time to revisit this video and talk about what's new. Now, we're going to start with the same topic we started with last time, that being horror. Now don't worry, I'm not gonna jump scare you this time. I'm better than that. But I am going to recap, because a lot of what I talked about has not been addressed nor mentioned at all. Basically, SCP-SL used to have a much darker atmosphere, and the game used to feel a lot scarier. And reasons for that were because of the way the game presented itself. The game is a horror game, and yet, currently, it's not very scary. Now this can be attributed to a variety of factors. The biggest one I mentioned, at least for me last time, was the fact that the lighting it's too bright. It doesn't feel like we're in the middle of a containment breach. It feels very homey, and it doesn't feel like I'm playing a horror game. You usually associate scary things with darker things. If you take 11.0, Parabellum, the game was very dark then. Now, some people didn't like this, but I did quite like it a lot, because I actually felt more afraid when playing the game. But boo-hoo, just turn down your brightness, so what? That's what I hear you saying, but really, that just puts you at more of a disadvantage, and it's not the same turning down the brightness compared to making the lights dim. Now, the darkness forced you to be more cautious back then, because you couldn't see as clearly. And you had to also be more cautious back then, because SCPs were more of a threat. They didn't feel like they do now, because the only SCP that can really one-hit you anymore is 173 when he snaps your neck. Take SCP-049. In the canon, he literally kills you with one touch, but now you get a heart attack? That doesn't make any sense. Now in terms of gameplay, sure, it makes the game a bit more balanced, so that way you don't just turn a corner and instantly fucking die. Makes sense. But the SCPs just aren't as scary anymore, especially with 939. You know what you were doing. But in honesty, you were more afraid back then because the penalty of death was much more unforgiving. Now we have mini-waves, which give you a chance to get back in the game in case you got pretty unlucky or had a skill issue once you spawned in. But that's not the case anymore when you have the mini-waves. You don't just die and have to wait 5 minutes. Now, I'm not saying this is a bad thing. Do not get it twisted. I like that you're able to come back, because, you know, it's more fun. But in your subconscious, you don't fear death as much, because you know that if you die, it won't be long before you're back. I can't not talk about the fact that they removed the jump scare sounds and chase themes for when you see an SCP. And honestly, this was a massive hit to the game, because when you did encounter an SCP, or you saw one, you were immediately on your toes and aware that you were in danger because you would hear the jump scare sounds. Also, it kinda removes the jump scare parts. If you just see an SCP, I don't jump, you don't jump, you just sort of see it, and that's it. When previously, you would immediately swap your focus to the threat at hand, and it would really suck you into the pressure. But my point is that if you just re-added the jump scare sounds, chased music, and made the atmosphere of the game darker, hell, maybe do something else. I don't know, just make a few additions, it'll make your game better. Now, I was pretty critical in the past of this game, but I do really like this game. It has been a big part of my childhood growing up, and I do like this game. Do not get it wrong. So I want to talk about what I think Northwood has been doing right. First off, I like the direction they're going with quality of life and fixing other older systems. Refactoring, as it's called. For instance, keycards. They were changed. They're basically the same, but they've been made better, and I like that. Quality of life, such as being able to see armor that people are wearing. That's pretty nice. Just simple things that they're doing that overall make the experience of playing the game better, because I'll be honest, it is a fun game. I said it. I enjoy this game. But just because I like the game doesn't mean that there aren't things that I would do differently. One thing I want to quickly touch on is the weaponry. I don't hate the new weapon system. As you could see from my gameplay, I was playing with accuracy stats enabled to see more of what it was like to actually play with it in the game. Which is just this little thing telling you how I talked about it in a different video, briefly. Honestly, I kind of thought that this command was hacks, but no, it's a real thing in the game. Anyways, I'm likely losing you with this, so let me get my points. I like the old weapons a bit more, because let me show you this clip. Doesn't have to be this way. Okay, he's got much better aim than I do. I want to slow that down for you. This man is inside of the circle of where my bullets can go, and yet, like a cartoon, they manage to all miss. My point is, I don't really like using the new weapons, because it just decides that even though you are landing your shots, or at least you should be, you're missing. And I get why it's in the game, but that doesn't mean that I'm a fan of it necessarily. Anyways, it's just a minor side rant about how I think that the game sort of feels like it's playing against you at times. What even in the fuck was I supposed to be talking about again? Oh yeah. So believe it or not, I'm actually kind of excited for the future of this game. They're finally adding a new SCP, which is likely going to be 953. If you know, you know. But some more evidence suggesting why it's likely 953. First off, it's a Keter class, and yes, that's how you pronounce Keter. Northwood, at one point, I can't quite remember when, they did say that, when talking about Skeleton, that they wanted to add another SCP to the game that's playable, that's year-round, and is like Skeleton, because people wanted to see Skeleton in the main game permanently. But of course, it didn't make the most sense to have this asshole permanently. Now, my point is that SCP-953 is polymorphic, so it makes sense why they would add her as a replacement for Skeleton. And I think it's going to be a breath of fresh air to have a new playable SCP. I have to admit, I do like the seasonal SCPs, but I'm not sure about adding full new SCPs that are permanent year-round, because the roster, there's only so much you can really do to it, really. Because let's be honest, if you just have a bunch of updates in the future, and there's like 10 new playable SCPs, I don't know how I would feel about that. But I'm not against a few more additions. I think it'd be fun. Also regarding the future, the light containment zone and entrance zone reworks, and also the infamous surface one that's coming, never. That, is exciting also. I don't know which zone they're going to be reworking next, likely going to be either surface or light containment, because entrance is just not a priority. I'm excited for when those eventually do happen, because, you know, current light containment and all the other zones, they're alright, but they could be a lot better. I like the new heavy, but again, with the lighting, just please make it more scary, man. It's just, I don't know. But anyways, back to giving feedback. I do like 14.0. I did like the updates. Now, some of the things such as the goggles, I don't like the goggles. I'm gonna be real, I don't like them. And, you know, they were overpowered, and now they're super underpowered. And, I think maybe if they just made the orbs last a little longer when you see an enemy, or anyone for that matter, maybe if they made more important items glow a little bit, I don't know, just give it something, man. It's so weak now. 127, I like that. At first, I was not exactly all for the idea of a gun that levels up. Like, what game am I playing anymore, if that is the reality we live in? But no, they actually did it quite well. I was incredibly worried when I heard that it was just gonna, like, level up the gun, but they did it very well. I have faith in Northwood that they will do the game justice, and they will fix and hopefully address a lot of the current issues of the game, as well as adding more content. Making a game is very difficult, so I don't know. Just give them time and the benefit of the doubt. I'm sure they'll be fine. But I know the real reason that you had a 953, you freak. Sorry about that. Hubert, he showed up and silenced me about talking about 953 again. So, yeah. So, and here we have a returning topic of community. Now, last time, as a recap, when I talked about the community, it got worse. It used to be better back then because the game was smaller, and even as it grew, the people remained mostly the same. It was just a bunch of people who liked SCP who fucked around a lot. The game was kind of like a sandbox voice chat game with SCPs and guns. That's basically the entire game. That's what it was. And now, it's people who shout slurs, play annoying soundboards, people who are discriminatory with guns, SCPs, and voice chat. So really, a decent amount has changed. Now, I'm not saying that this was not an issue back then, because, you know, it existed, but it was way less common. And now, as COVID hits, that really was a big part of SL history, because the more people were on the internet, and the community for the game grew a lot, and it became more competitive. And 11.0 did not help with that when it added the new guns. But you really can't change the community and how it is. I mentioned last time about how the one SL YouTuber was exposed as a predator. And, you know, there have been other cases, of course, because it's just with any community, there's bound to be bad people. I think an age limit should be installed to the game. I said this last time as well, and I stand by it. The age 14 to 17 range is the primary target for this game. So I think 13 and below should not be able to play. Now, of course, predators in this game, it's not common, but I felt I should readdress this anyways. Going back to the community, however, the community of this game, like I said, it used to be good, but now it's not as good, which it's part of the reason that recommending this game to people is more difficult. Don't get me wrong, there are loads of good people, but there are also some really bad people. Something I've seen recently is there's more hackers recently with like aimbot and stuff. I think that a possible solution would be if there's no administrators online or moderators and enough people report a player, maybe a vote kick could happen. But this would only occur if there are no moderators online on the server to check what the situation is actually about. So this way, we can deal with the horrible, horrible people without needing to wait for a moderator to come online, which is often not gonna happen. Now, with the power of plugins, maybe people could set it up where that's a feature of a server specifically, and if enough people vote for it in the console, they could ban somebody for, I don't know, a few hours? My point is, I think we should install a better anti-cheat and maybe get some more moderators just in servers in general. Now, this doesn't exactly pertain to Northwood. Sure, they have some global moderators, but I've only seen a few ever. It's always like server-specific moderators that you see online. And for some servers, you don't see them as often, so server hosters. Maybe get some more administrators, so that way there's usually somebody to take care of a situation. But really, there's not much that we can do about fixing the community. I just felt the need to bring it up again. But with that, I think it's time to go through a little conclusion. Don't click off yet, I'm not done speaking. So, for a quick synopsis before I get into a few extra bits that I don't think deserve their own section, but should definitely be mentioned. I talked about how the horror needs to be improved, which can be done by making just a few simple changes, really. I gave some general positive feedback because I do like this game, and there's lots that I think that they've done really well, and lots that they're doing well to, like, continuing to do well, I should say, when it comes to adding new features in these new updates. I also talked a bit about the future during that section. Another thing that I forgot to mention, a very long time ago, they talked about adding more game modes to SCP-SL. Very foreign concept, I know. I think it's a mistake. The only thing that could maybe work is a team deathmatch, maybe Chaos versus MTF, maybe a variation with T-Class versus Scientists in the Light Zone. I don't know, but other game modes don't really fit this game, if you know what I'm saying. Then I talked about how the community kinda sucks, and I briefly mentioned SCP-953, the Fox Girl that they're planning to add, or at least what we all think they're most likely going to add. It's not confirmed yet, but let's be real. I wish I had more that I could talk about, but overall I've been quite pleased with the developments that have been made in this game. And, you know, I have quite a bit of faith in Northwoods, even if they've made some mistakes in the past. I do have faith in them, and I look forward to the next updates. Kinda just made this video to fix the errors of the last video that I did, because it was bad. Don't watch it, please. But anyways, here at the end, I'm gonna do something not like me, and I'm gonna give a little advertisement. Not for myself, but rather the SCP short film. Unofficial, of course. Now, this is referred to as the SL movie, if you will, and it's directed by a friend of mine, who you may know, named Witty. Now, I play a role in the film, and I think that you should join his Discord. I'll have it linked below. You can also join my Discord. It's not entirely active, and I give very incorrect schedules about whenever I plan to make videos. And, you know, it's just a fun area. So check that out if you'd like. Another thing, unlike me, but I will ask you to please subscribe if you do enjoy my videos. And with that, I'm Serv, and I hope to see you in the next one.